Welcome again, everyone, to the RISE CareerWise Get Hired Virtual Summit 2020. And today I have someone with me who I've also seen in my past life and past corporate life at SR. And he is now heading HR at Reliance Industries and doing a phenomenal job. Chandrajeet Pati is in an exciting role that gives him the opportunity and the responsibility to solve many a diverse and complex challenges and situations in his role, and he's always geared up and ready to go. He has very humbly and kindly agreed to give us and share his insights on what could go on with recruitment, what are the hiring practices, and what you should watch out for when you're looking for a job. So let's welcome Chandrajeet. Thank you for making the time to join us on this summit.
Okay. Thank you for the kind words, Vinny.
Great. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your responsibilities, and the process of hiring that talent acquisition teams normally do? What all goes behind the hiring process to be able to then cull out the talent and get the talent that you have in your companies?
Okay. Thank you. So I'll start with the first one about myself. Chandrajit Pati did my MBA from XLRI after my master's in physics, and about 30 years of experience in various industries like manufacturing, automobiles, steel, infrastructure, and now in the EPC business for the last 12 years. And telecom was in between also for 8 years. So been there, seen a bit of the world across different countries also in the world. So that's me. And about the hiring practices, if you look at it, I've seen the sea change. What I used to do in 1990 when I started my career, and what is happening now. Earlier, it used to be the candidates come face-to-face discussions and maybe a round of group discussion, but that has changed completely today. There's a lot of psychometric tools, online assessments, and also before the candidate meets, there's a now we are brought in our industry an artificial intelligence which does the job matching also. So when the CV comes, we match it with the job description. The software does it and tells us this candidate meets your profile 50%, 60%, 80%. Then accordingly we decide whether we should call it or not. That's one thing. And second, the change I have since you talked, I am seeing is earlier it was much more about technical competencies. But today, when we are hiring, we are looking technical competencies still there, 50%. But what we see today also is that we are also focusing on the other aspects, the behavioral aspects, the resilience aspect also. Now, post-COVID, we see that a person has to be strong enough to sustain crisis. So is he resilient enough? So another competency has got added, which we look into a candidate. Is he having enough resilience to withstand crisis? Because what we see is that crisis will come one after another. So I see a lot of sea changes in the way we have been hiring in the last 30 years, and it's going to evolve in the days to come also.
So tell me, then how do you determine the resilience factor when you're hiring? As in, because everyone
Yeah.
puts their best foot forward, and how would you know?
So this is one thing which we're putting it now. We're asking the candidates, can you just narrate a situation where you underwent a crisis and how did you handle it? It can be a failure situation, it can be a successful situation. But then we dig deep into that and find out what exactly was the role of this person and how did he handle the situation accordingly. That gives us a clue about his resilient leadership, whether it is there or not.
Okay, I think that's brilliant. Uh, Explain to us about the talent acquisition strategy that you have that can accelerate expansion into markets. And I have one more part to this question, which is I know that Bombay, Delhi, Kolkata, Madras, Bangalore, Hyderabad, all these places, there are lots of opportunities. What about the tier two cities? Are there enough opportunities, and what would your advice be to the more to candidates with a lot of potential in these cities? What could they look out for?
Okay, so I'll start with the last question first.
Okay.
Yes, there are plenty of opportunities for tier two cities. If you look at our industry or any industry which is expanding now, whether it is hydrocarbons, telecom, retail, which are they expanding into, they are getting more, they're going more and more into the rural India also, which means not only tier two cities, even the tier three cities and the villages, the rural areas also. If there is a good talent, there is a good chance of him or her getting selected into the organization. So obviously it is there. And we are looking for people actually who have a lot of passion, who want to come and make a change, not to see it as a 9 to 5:30 job. That's very clear. So one of the key things which we look for when we are hiring is, does the person have an entrepreneurship skill or not? Can he stand on his feet and think and make a change in that? That's one of the key things. As I said, resilient leadership is one aspect. Similarly, is the person entrepreneurial by nature or not? Is one of the key aspects we're looking at it. So now coming back to the first question of this part which you asked is the talent strategy. Our talent strategy is very clear. We will brand ourselves, put ourselves in the social media, let the talent come to us rather than we going to the talent. We will of course go to the talent, but 80% of the time, the talent needs to come to us. They should be interested to apply in our company. That's one. So therefore, we are doing a lot of branding. If you look at in LinkedIn or in any other social media or at the campuses also, as one thing. And also at the campus, we have a strategy that most of the offers should be as a P-placement offer. Those who have come work with us during this summer, we should be looking at them more than going to the campus around January, February for a hiring. So we are believing more on a PPO strategy right now.
Okay, okay, very interesting. Nice. So, you mentioned placements also, and you mentioned campus, and you said, of course, you're branding yourself and a lot of LinkedIn hiring. Uh, in terms of hiring, in terms of requirements, now that we are facing this crazy, I mean, we've just come out of, I guess, the initial shock of the pandemic, and now we are starting to cope with it. What is the shift you are seeing or even foreseeing with
Mhm.
regard to freshers, mid management, senior management? Has there been a shift in any of these categories with regard to jobs and hiring?
Uh, to a certain extent, yes, a bit of shift, 20% shift has happened, I would say, while the regular practices continues. The shift has happened more in terms of I would say whether the candidate is interested to work in different dimensions of our businesses. He can be open to work in procurement, manufacturing, can be also willing to go to the sites, and we have also retail, petrol retail coming up, or not any industry. So we are looking. What we are looking now is a shift is more on open mindedness that's coming up. Number two, what we are looking at also is the candidate should know his job well. We are also looking at a certain degree of technical specialties also. If you are a chemical engineer, you should know your subject matter well. If you are a mechanical engineer, you should know all the aspects of mechanical aspects. Plus, as I said, a bit of general abilities, for example, openness, resilient leadership, and all those aspects also. Yes, one more aspect I think I should bring in here. We're also preferring candidates who know the digital aspects well, whether in terms of artificial intelligence, automation, and all those aspects, because that is the future. So if this person knows this subject well, and with the two candidates, one knows his technical expertise and the other has this technical expertise plus a certain degree of knowledge on artificial intelligence automation, we'd go for the second candidate.
Okay, interesting. So technical, I'd say
Artificial
resilience and
automation. Yes.
automation. So which one comes first, the digital part of it, or after the technical? Given that technical is hygiene.
Technical is the best. It is the hygiene factor, of course. Then comes we are looking at is the resilience aspect because
Okay.
crisis. What we are seeing is off late. Well, I look at the history of industries in the last 20 years. One crisis after coming up, after another is coming up. So
Yes.
this is going to be the future. So does the person has the ability to withstand crisis? And of course, then the digitization intelligence we talk about, whether it is there
Right.
in him or not.
So I'm picking up some of these words you said, like you even said you want them to be passionate and also have
Absolutely.
entrepreneurial orientation and open mindedness.
Yeah.
And I think these are all becoming so integral because even across leaderships, everyone is now looking to build other leaders who are going to demonstrate these qualities. And I wonder what's going to happen to the people who haven't really honed up these qualities or who have just been working a 9 to 5 job without feeling the passion. Or I think this generation is going to have to totally, completely spruce themselves up and pull up the socks. And that's a huge change because even in all the interviews that we've been doing, the one thing that is coming out is people want passion and open mindedness. It's true, like you can have your technical skills, but there'll always have to be some other skills that have to complement with it because
Yeah.
hygiene is very basic now, as opposed to earlier, let my work speak for itself and everything else can go for a toss. I think we are seeing that mark change. Lovely.
That's what the passion. Where does it come from? When you get the freedom to work on, actually. So that's why I said the entrepreneurial mindset is one we're looking for actually.
Right.
And if it's not there in today's world, then the person is going to have a very short career. he want to go for, then he's going to fail out of some time.
Absolutely. So tell me, how are you tapping into these workforces? You did say you're branding and you're on LinkedIn, but now that we have to recruit remotely, and
Mhm.
remotely, how are you sort of gauging it? What is this whole strategy to be able to, one, position yourself and attract the candidates and then recruit them?
Yeah. Now there are two, three parameters which we develop, instruments we use actually. One of them is the person undergoes a couple of rounds of interview. We ensure that no person undergoes more than 3 rounds of interviews. But in the second and third round of interviews, we delve deeper into this aspect actually, and to see that whether that person has those abilities or not. And also, in most of the cases, not in all cases, in most of the cases, we use psychometric assessment. Psychometric assessment is only a validating factor. It's not a deciding factor. So, like with SHL and others, we have our tie-ups. So the person undergoes a psychometric assessments, and that also throws light into the thinking abilities of the person. So we are doing that actually. And today's rural world is not because with the digitization coming and with network 4G all across, so distance is no longer a factor. We do most of our interviews in fact digitally.
Okay, okay, that's fantastic. So you do see also LinkedIn replacing a lot of these other
LinkedIn is
channels.
only one aspect. There are other also. There are other sources, and like we have our own website. We have modified. We have constantly evolving our website. So we encourage our people to come to our websites and apply, and we update all our websites, whatever happening in our industries and so all those things. So we attract the candidates rather than we going to the candidates.
Okay. And is that something that you're encouraging right now? Are you recruiting?
It's very selectively, but currently we're in a consolidation phase. So the mass recruiting is not happening. Very selective recruitment is happening.
Okay, okay. So, in the, Chandrajeet, tell me, which are the skills? You know, you did say there are technical skills needed, and I'm talking about across, besides the
Mm.
softer aspects also. So,
Yeah.
which are the skills that are in really high demand now? Like where you know that okay, if this is the qualification across industries, you're good to go, you're sorted. So, which are those skills that you're seeing that are coming up now?
So that's a very, very broad question you asked, and it's very difficult to answer in one or two statements. But I'll put it this way actually. As I said a bit earlier, you should know your subject matter well. We have found to our surprise when the young engineers or even the MBA graduates, when you come back and ask them some very fundamental questions. I'm talking about my experience. I went to one of the top level IIMs and asked, we are hiring for the finance role actually, for a management universe. So what is the full form of EBITDA? Which any person should answer, and the person fumbled. So that means he hasn't done his groundwork well. So again, as I said, the first thing is should be know your subject well, and which are the areas we're looking at. As I said, those persons who have a knack to work in any situation, and also particularly on digitization aspect, because our industry, not only our industry, any industry is planning to be more and more digitized in days to come. That's taken for granted. So has that person done something of that or not? If he has done, then he is in very high demand. We can go to any extent to hire him in our organization.
Okay.
So that's the shift we are seeing now.
Brilliant. I think digitization is the way to go.
That's the future for the next 10 years. Even in HR also, I foresee a lot of changes happening. For example, if you look at the appraisal process, we need to have a performance management system which is absolutely digitized, online, and it should be available to the manager and the employees 24 into 7. The feedback can be given. We can't wait for quarterly or annual reviews. And any feedback is goes, say, for example, something immediately gets linked to the learning and development or to the talent management software also, and data is generated. So that's the future for the next 10 years at least.
Okay. Great. I think some really great insights there. Thank you so much, Chandrajeet. Now we have some questions. We had done a poll for the with the target audience. So we got quite a few questions that came back from them. I've shortlisted one or two that I think would be fun to have you answer. So the first question is, what are the jobs that make the most money?
No, there is no single job which makes the most money. It is the individual with the right attitude and competency who makes the most of the money. There is no job like that in the world which gives you the most of the money. Even the what you can say the most routine mundane job, if it has the right person, he can come and around the job and create a lot of money in that and make a lot of money for himself also.
Okay, brilliant. And the second question is, what if I'm offered a role in a company which isn't the one that I applied for, right? And then I'm offered, but it's the role that I want. And then there's a company where I've got a job, but it's not in the role that I want. Shall I continue looking for the role that I want in another company, or should I take up the role in this company, which is the company where I wanted to work?
My answer is a bit different. Look at the job and the company which allows you to work on your passion. It has to be both, not one of them. I have seen people joining a company, getting disillusioned and leaving because the job wasn't good enough, and the other way around also. The job was good, the company wasn't good, and after some time also they have left the company also. So look for a place where you can go and grow as a professional, and where you can put your passion into work, your knowledge into work. Only then only go and join that organization. Otherwise, don't go.
So you would think that take what's on the platter, not with the hope that someday I'll get the role I want, even if it's a
No, no.
great
There are a
company.
lot of plenty of in today's world. There are plenty of opportunities available across the globe, and anybody can. And what one is looking for is available somewhere.
Right. Okay, brilliant. We're now going to go into the third section, which is the quick hire and fire round. So,
Okay.
share with us what is that one quality that is an absolute hit with you, like a sure shot hire?
One I had told you a little bit earlier, that resilience of the person. One. The second aspect which I look for is the person's ability to work with teams, and he shouldn't have come with the entitlement mentality. I've seen a lot of candidates coming. Oh, I'm from one of the top institutes, so I know everything. So if the person is coming with that closed mindset, it won't go. So I will look for persons, the absolute ideal person with an open mindset, where he's more like a student who keeps on, is keen to learn, keen to grow, keen to that, offer his services, rather than saying, "Oh, I know this, I am the know-all type in the organization."
Okay. And what's the one thing that's a complete miss with you, like a sure shot fire?
And reverse the answer I've given it. That is, if a person
Closed
has
mindset.
closed mindset, definitely we are not touching the candidates next time. We
Okay.
have seen some candidates who were brilliant in their technical knowledge, but because they didn't demonstrate adequate openness about the learning, about the ability to work in teams and collaborations, we dropped them immediately.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. What's your favorite interview question?
Oh, I question is, that's my favorite question is, if I ask your team members about your style of management, how would they define that? So the
Very
person has,
interesting. Very, very interesting. A very different answer.
that gives a key insight about how much has this person understood his or her team members.
It is a very interesting question. Actually, yeah, this is nice. A very good takeaway.
Okay,
This has been fantastic, Chandrajeet. Really, like
thank
a
you
lot
very
of
much.
great insights, and I think a lot of clarity in many areas as well with regard to hiring and the practices, and also what are the skills that we need to hone up if you're looking at kickstarting a career or even changing a job. If you had to give one key advice, one last advice to any job aspirant out there, whether it's a fresher, whether it's someone who's looking for a switch, or even a C suite, what is that one advice you would give them?
No, you know your subject well, know your profession, your tools, and your crafts well. Uh, that if you haven't understood, for example, if it's an HR person, let me say, and he has worked in the payroll, then I would say understand the entire payroll process well, the software related to the payroll. So when you go for an interview, you would be able to answer all the dimensions. Don't focus on only one dimension of your trade or craft. So if you are, so know all the 360 degrees of your trade well, then only go for a job. That's the one thing my advice for them.
Very nice. I'm sure this is going to be very useful for all our
I hope
audience.
so. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for
Thank
making
you.
this time.
Thank you.